The 2023 NBA season has been a strange one so far in a way where I doubt anybody could have predicted the way that things have been going early on in the season. We're almost a full month into the year, which is about the point where the sample sizes for certain things stop being a fluke and the time to critique and analyze things as a whole starts to be more meaningful. Certain teams came into the season expected to compete for a title, and quite a few of those teams are struggling early on, and the cause of those struggles can be linked to the struggles of some of their best players, which brings us to today's video. Today we'll be discussing 6 star NBA players this year who quite simply have been disappointing thus far. We'll go over why that is, whether or not it's caused for panic, and what they need to do to reverse this trend. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first star player that we'll be discussing today who has been disappointing everyone this year is actually LeBron James of the Los Angeles Lakers. This is certainly not a name we would have expected to land on a list like this before the season began, but there's no denying the fact that to this point, this is the worst season LeBron has had since his rookie year 20 years ago. Most of us knew coming into the season that the Lakers were a flawed group with a ton of issues within, and so a slow start hasn't really been that shocking all things considered, but what is surprising is that LeBron has actually been at the heart of quite a few of their issues as opposed to being in a situation where he's doing the carrying, like we've seen from him countless times throughout his career. LeBron is averaging the fewest points per game since his rookie year, he's shooting worse from the field than he has since his rookie year, he's shooting the worst percentage from 3 of his career, and in terms of net rating and plus minus, he ranks as the worst player on the Lakers in those categories, meaning that the team is performing much worse with him out there than they are with him on the bench. Father Time eventually catches everyone, and unfortunately, this may be that time for LeBron too. It's been a long, fun run, but his time as one of the truly dominant superstars may be approaching its end. The next star player disappointing everyone this season is Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. Embiid was the MVP runner-up for a second season in a row last year, and after coming so close back-to-back, you would think his desire would be higher than ever, but so far, he has looked disinterested far more often than not. When you look at his individual production, it is still fine as he's averaging about 28 points and 10 rebounds per game, but when you look deeper than the basics, you find a few concerning notes. For one, Embiid has been the most dominant post threat in the league for a majority of his career, typically ranking in the top percentile in paint scoring in the league while doing so on the largest volume. But this season, he ranks in the 41st percentile in that category, which is below average. Additionally, Embiid is a multiple-time nominee to the All-Defense team because his work as a rim protector has previously been top-notch, but this season that effort just is not present. The Sixers are currently 5-7 and will be without James Harden for a few more weeks, so this is going to be an important part of the season for them. If they're going to turn their season around, it's going to have to start with Embiid working his way into better shape and bringing it on both ends more consistently, like we're used to seeing from him in the past. The next star player disappointing everyone so far this season is actually LeBron's teammate Anthony Davis. Davis has essentially been on cruise control since the Lakers' bubble championship, and while he has struggled with injuries since then, and I'm not going to be one of the people who goes hard on him over health issues, I'm going to focus solely on his work on the court when he has been healthy, which just hasn't been up to par with what the team needs from him. Davis is someone with superstar expectations because he's demonstrated superstar talent throughout his career, but he just has not performed like one in a long time. Averaging 23 points and 10 rebounds this year while shooting 54% from the field is not bad by any means, but again, there are some deeper underlying issues. Davis has never necessarily been a great three-point shooter, but he's been one of the worst shooters from beyond in the league over the last 2 seasons, and even in the mid-range, where he used to dominate with his face-up game, he's been a brick house, struggling there as well. Then on defense, Davis is a former Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but he has never wanted to be a full-time center like the Lakers need from him right now, and the physicality required from the position is just too much for him to handle, and it shows. The next star player disappointing everyone this season is Klay Thompson of the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors are the defending champions, so the criticisms thrown their way have been minimal despite their slow start because they get the benefit of the doubt. Steph Curry has actually been playing some amazing basketball this year, but after that, there are definitely a ton of question marks, with Klay Thompson being one of them. Last season, Klay made his return to the basketball court after struggling with injuries for 2 years, and he was a streaky performer last year for sure. It was easy to write that off at the time though, because the Warriors were still winning games, and because of the amount of time that he missed, it was expected for him to work his way back into the swing of things gradually. Now we're well into the next season, and those excuses for him are no longer there. Klay at one point was a historically great shooter who was a dangerous weapon for the Warriors, but this year he's averaging just 15 points per game, shooting the ball a horrendous 36% from the field and 32% from 3. He's been more likely to shoot them out of games than otherwise, and if his one elite trait is gone, then there are going to be some difficult questions to answer about his future. The next star player disappointing everyone this season is Ben Simmons of the Brooklyn Nets. This one is a fairly obvious inclusion to the list, as Simmons has genuinely looked like a shell of his former self in Brooklyn. This is a guy who has multiple All-Star appearances. He's a former All-Defensive Team member, he was the runner-up in the DPOY race a few years ago, and he's someone who used to stuff the stat sheet in spite of his glaring issues in the past. Now when you watch him play, he looks more lost than ever, and he doesn't even try to play aggressive at any point in the game. Ben is averaging just 6 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, all of which are obviously career lows. He still refuses to even look at the basket outside of the restricted area, and it's been hard to point out what his role even is on the team anymore. The hope was that Ben would thrive in a situation away from Philadelphia, where he would now be surrounded with better spacing and 2 dynamic star scoring talents in Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, but for some reason, it has had the opposite effect on him. And finally, the last star player disappointing everyone so far this season is D'Angelo Russell of the Minnesota Timberwolves. Russell's whole career so far has been filled with ups and downs, but he is a former All-Star who came into this year with the Wolves hoping to bounce back after his disappointing showing in the playoffs last season. Instead, Russell is currently having the worst year of his entire career, and if things don't turn around for him soon, he may get benched. Russell is averaging just 14 points and 6 assists per game, shooting the ball just 38% from the field and 31% from 3. He's prone to mental lapses, his decision-making is questionable to say the least, his defense has been a real struggle, and his shot just has not been falling. Then, when you look at how he's affecting the team performances around him, you see that the Timberwolves are a whopping 16 points worse with Russell on the court, which is a number that really caught my eye. They go from being outscored by 8 points per 100 possessions with him on the court to actually outscoring opponents by 8 points per 100 possessions with him on the bench, which is that 16-point swing, which definitely tells a story of how the Wolves' season has gone. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about these star players and their disappointing seasons so far. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.